We're back with another daily reflection on the Daily Vedantic. And yesterday's episode was on the pitfalls of perception, and I highly recommend you go check out that episode before you jump into this one. But this one is all on reality and how, in terms of continuous study, the world's oldest philosophy defines reality. What is real? Well, first we have to start with a definition of real and reality. Within the Vedantic lens, reality is defined as that which persists. A ghost, we'd say, isn't real because of its phantom nature. It's artificiality. It's not the real thing. It's transient to an extreme. It has no substance to it. Therefore, you might perceive it, but you'd say, and I don't really believe in such things, but you'd say this isn't real. Same thing with a dream. In the dream, it feels real, but outside of the dream, you realize, oh, that whole world has no persistence. Therefore, it is not real. Vedanta tells us very clearly, it is written succinctly and it is written about at length, that this world, this waking state, is an elevated version of a dream, according to this philosophy. Take it or leave it. It's not something that you need to buy into to benefit from any other areas of this philosophy. But when you get to the deep end of the pool, what it's saying is none of this is real. This is a projection of your mind, much like the projection of that dream. Just because you can touch it does not mean that it is real. Just like, which sounds, I know, I can hear the voices in many of your heads saying, well, that's ridiculous. Of course, that means it's real. And yet, in our last episode, we talked about the dream example where you could touch a table, a wall, you're walking on ground, you're wearing shoes in that dream. That 5 minutes later, you wake up from and realize, even though you swore it was real, you could perceive it, you could touch it, you could hear sounds as you have a conversation with someone. That sense of perception had no bearing on whether it was real or not. And from the waking state, you realize that wasn't real. The absurdity of thinking this is real is only available to us when we're outside of it, much like that entire dream realm. Within Vedanta, there are 3 states that we are occupying every day. Deep sleep state, dream state, waking state. And we're moving in between these as we lay down in bed, as we wake up to go to work. But the Vedas tell us there is a 4th state, which simply described in Sanskrit, Turiya, as fourth. And this 4th state has all kinds of different names to it from different world traditions throughout history. Nirvana, liberation, moksha. It might be heaven. Our Western definition of heaven is this eternal place that is beyond this world. This 4th state, that is reality because that persists. And in comparison, none of this ever happened. And that's simple math, even in this state that we're in right now. Take something that is eternal, infinite in time. Compare that to 50 years, a lifetime that lasts 80 years, 500 years. 500 divided by infinity is the limit case for 0, is nothing. 500 trillion divided by eternity. 5 trillion years compared to eternity is nothing. The same for space. If you believe there is some entity, some force that is infinite, our language is so limited. Even these concepts, infinite, this is like just using a noise out of my mouth to encompass something that grand is laughable, but language is the best tool we got to try to illustrate this idea. for a podcast. So something that is infinite in mass. Well, the Earth, the entire solar system, every galaxy, trillions and trillions and trillions of galaxies, all of their square miles combined of space divided by infinity is zero. So if you believe there is something that is eternal, and this is an if, I'm not saying you should or shouldn't believe it, but if you believe that there is something that is eternal, or if you believe that there is a God that's infinite, it's not just a turn of phrase to say this is limited version of that or this is nothing in comparison. It's quite mathematical. The 500 trillion years that our universe might be around is nothing in comparison to anything that's eternal. Your 80 years on this planet is nothing compared to that. If reality is defined as that which persists, within our limitations of language, the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, the Brahma Sutras still talk about reality and using these words of either Turiya as the fourth or talking about it in terms of pure consciousness, pure awareness. It's pure consciousness or pure awareness. It's objectless awareness where it's not aware of anything. It is just awareness itself. To find that, to cultivate a sense of that within us, which we are told is possible. One of my favorite examples within the Upanishads talks us through it like this. The subject and the object, the observer and what is observed cannot be the same thing. If you're observing it, then you must be, by definition, apart from it. You observe, let's say, this table or anything in your room or wherever you are right now. Therefore, you are not the table because you're observing it. The same could be said for our bodies. You're aware of your fingernails, but you're not your fingernails. You're aware of your hand, your arm, but you are not your arm. You are not your hand. You'd still be you. If you lost your right hand, you would still be you. Maybe a different version in your mind, but you would not disappear because the right hand disappeared. You keep going and you can observe even your mind, observing your thoughts. Therefore, you are not your mind. And if you keep walking that back, what we are is awareness itself. That awareness itself, we are told, is eternal, is infinite, and does persist. And like the movie screen that might have 10 different movies projected on it every day at the movie theater, it remains changeless. No matter what flashing lights stream across it every hour of the day, it remains changeless. And that which persists, that's real. This has been another daily reflection on the Daily Vedantic. We'll see you next time. Ever so lightly touch that subscribe button. Hit that bell icon, I think is what it is. Make friends in the comments, and we'll see you tomorrow.